And I'm just going to say again, if you're coming on, we might be using 2 blocks. We'll definitely be using 1 block, but I think it'll be good to have 2 blocks nearby if you have them, or 2 big books. So let's make our way over to our mats and we'll begin lying down. And I don't know what sort of a space you all have for your mats, since we're not together anymore, but wherever you are, there's a floor that is underneath you. And so we begin as we lie down by consciously feeling the feeling of the floor beneath us and feeling that connection, the way our body, the weight of our body settles into the floor, and the way the floor supports us. Because there's value in that recognition, in that understanding of our relationship to the ground. Our body relaxes when it perceives that connection, when we ground ourselves. And so that's our foundation, that's our beginning. Get grounded, feel the ground. And then begin to feel your whole body. You might scan your body from head to toe. You might go from toe to head. You might just let your awareness kind of move around, but check in and feel how your body's feeling this morning. And maybe when you're lying down and relaxing, some of the things that are going on with your body you don't really feel because, they're not present in this lying down position. But based on, our injury past and things, there's certain parts of our bodies that tend to be held more tightly. And also our habits. So a lot of us clench our jaw. So see if you can relax the jaw. A lot of us furrow our brow. A lot of us hold tension in the area of the belly or the gut. And if you've had a chronic injury your whole life, you might be holding tension or tightness in that area. So as you're lying back, just allow any part of the body that you're holding tight or clenching or gripping or furrowing to relax, to soften. So we begin with kind of a clean slate, a relaxed body. And then let's begin to focus on our breathing. And begin to allow the in-breath to become more deep and expansive, feeling maybe how the ribs move up and out as the lungs fill up with breath. And then feeling how the ribs soften in and down as we breathe out. And I'm going to invite you to place your hands on your ribs, kind of grab onto your ribs, cradle them with your hands, so that you can feel that movement of the ribs up and out as you breathe in. And in and down on the exhale. So we're still practicing really full, deep, expansive breaths. Feeling that movement of the ribs expanding. And let that breath move not only down here by your low ribs, but up into the chest, up towards the collarbones, into the back of the ribs. And let it empty all the way out. Give yourself permission for this deep breathing to take as long as it takes. There's no rush now, no hurry. As you continue this really deep breathing, on your next exhale, with your hands, see if you can guide your lower ribs a little more in and down than they typically move, so that the hands are facilitating that full exhalation of breath and that movement of the low ribs in and down. And then when you inhale, just let the ribs do whatever they do. Maybe feeling how they move apart and up. But with each exhale, letting the hands guide or facilitate the movement of the lower ribs in and down. So we just really connect to what that feels like to knit the ribs into the belly. So one more really full, deep, expansive breath. And one more emptying of breath facilitated by the hands pressing in and down. And then go ahead and transition to a more natural breath rhythm. Your hands could stay on your ribs or they could drop to your side, whichever you prefer. But we're going to spend 1 minute seeing if we can just focus our awareness on our breath, even when we're breathing more naturally. We're not doing that big, deep, expansive breath. So for 1 minute, let's focus our awareness on our breathing. And when our mind wanders away from our breathing, we're just going to kindly, gently bring it back to our breathing. So 1 minute here. Notice if your mind has wandered and just kindly, gently bring it back. Great. So that's just a small little practice of mindfulness, just focusing our awareness on one thing. And as we move into our movement practice, we're going to try to maintain that focused awareness. So we're here now, we're on our mats, we're going to focus on what we're doing. And with each movement, kind of guide ourselves into the movement in a way that feels right for how we're feeling this morning. Let's offer ourselves what we need, offer ourselves care in this moment, which doesn't always mean taking the gentlest approach. Maybe today you need to push yourself a little bit, or maybe you do need to be gentle, but really work from that place of understanding what's right for you. So let's take our feet off the floor and hug our knees in. Give your knees a nice hug, like you're welcoming them in, like when you hug someone, you do it with feeling. So let's give ourselves a little hug here as we gently sway side to side. And then release the feet down. We're going to take one leg and we're just going to point the toes and lift that leg up toward the ceiling. And then we're going to flex the foot and bend the knee down. So we're going to point the toe and lift the leg up and flex the foot and bring the heel down. And just do that a couple more times, pointing to lift and flexing to lower. And then keep the foot flexed and press it up, point the toe and bend the knee. Flex the foot and straighten, point the toe and bend. One more time, flex and lift up and point and lower down. Let's change legs. So take your other leg and lift the leg up in the air. We're going to point the toe. We're going to flex the foot and bend the knee. We're going to point the toe and lift the leg up, flex the foot and bend the knee, point and lift and flex and lower. And now we'll keep the foot flexed and take that leg up in the air and then point and bend. Again, flex and lift and point and bend. And one more time, just a nice way to loosen up the legs. Great. All right, release that foot down. So earlier we had our hands on our ribs and we were knitting the ribs down into the belly on the exhale. Let's now lift our heads up a little bit off the floor, clasp our hands beneath our head, let the weight of the head rest into the hands. We'll take a breath in. As we exhale, we're going to knit those ribs down into the belly, just like we were doing earlier, and curl up head, neck, and shoulders, looking beyond the knees. And then we're going to inhale and release back. We'll do that again. Exhale, knit the ribs and curl up, and then reach your arms kind of out and forward. So maybe you can knit a little bit more, and then you can grab the back of the head as you lower down and breathe. So exhale, knit the ribs and curl up and reach, and then release back and down. So let's exhale and knit the ribs and curl up, and then we're going to bring the feet off the floor, and we're going to bring the knees in and curl the hips up a little bit. And then we're going to release, tap the toes as we inhale back. So we're going to exhale and knit and curl up, knees come in, inhale and tap and release back. A few more like that, curling up and releasing back. This time we're going to curl up and then extend your right leg out and twist across, right elbow towards left knee, and then bring the knee in and lower down. Exhale, curl up, extend the left leg and twist across. Bring the knee back as you inhale, release down. So we're curling up, twisting across as one leg extends, and then lowering back and breathing, coming up and twisting across, and then lowering down. So we knit the ribs, we twist across, ribs towards the thigh, not just elbow towards the knee, but trying to take those ribs towards the opposite thigh. Really working the midsection here as we twist across. Let's do a few more of these. Coming up and twisting across and lowering down. Up and across, lowering down. We'll do just a couple more of these. Great. Last one. And then go ahead and release your head and release your feet. You can take your hands out from supporting your head, and I would like you to pick up one of your blocks. We're going to take a block, and I just want you to rest it on your chest. We're going to start to wake up the shoulders a little bit here. So could you now grab the block between your elbows? So you're going to kind of hug onto the block with your elbows and lift the block up off your chest, so that now your elbows come more above, straight up from your shoulders. You're kind of hugging the block or squeezing the block between your arms. So then I'll show you if you're confused. Okay, hopefully you understand what we're doing here. Could you take your arms a little more overhead? Now everybody has different history of shoulder injury and stuff. So if this doesn't feel great, you could just kind of do this movement without a block between your arms, or maybe you just don't go as far overhead. But we're going to try and just move the elbows that are hugging onto the block a little more over, and then a little more down towards the chest, and then one more time. And then with your elbows straight up from your shoulders, can you turn your palms to face the floor? And could you even take your hands a little wider? So your elbows are squeezing into the block, but your hands are a little wider. So I'm going to show you. So rather than my hands being here, I'm taking them out wider. You can stay laying down. I'm just showing you. You're squeezing the block between your elbows, your palms are facing the floor, and you're trying to take your hands a little wider. So that's going to work the back of the shoulder a little bit. So maybe try that one more time. If it doesn't feel good for your shoulders, you don't have to do it. All right, release the block back onto your chest, release your arms, and then you can just set that block aside. Let's roll to the side and come around to all fours. Of course, we can cushion the knees if that would feel nice for your knees. So get nice and square. You might move around a little bit side to side. And when you're ready, just do a cat and a cow. Just like extend your spine or round your spine first, whichever one you want to do first, and then move from one to the other. Kind of very familiar movement that we do here on all fours a lot of times. Cat, cow, flexion, extension. And we're quite familiar with this movement. So now we're going to do it a little differently. I'd like you to take one block and place it under one hand. So that hand is still wrist right beneath the shoulder, but it's elevated now. So it kind of changes things. And then try to do cat and cow. So it's going to just make it feel different. You can inhale as you arch. You can exhale as you round. And it's just going to feel different because one side is higher than the other. And so it's going to help us to focus our awareness on how it feels, because when we're used to something, it's easier for the mind to wander. When we give it new input, it kind of focuses our awareness. So just do one more round of cat-cow with one hand on a block. And then as you come to a flat back, just try it with your other hand on a block. Get those wrists right beneath your shoulders, and then just explore how it feels when you have one hand on a block. As you arch and as you round, it just changes it up a little bit. So maybe one more time like this, just kind of exploring a different position for cat and cow. And then coming back to your flat back, you can just set that block aside. Let's sit back into child's pose. Sit back on your heels, round over your legs, let your forehead be supported by the floor. Or actually, let's take the block and place it so your forehead can rest on the block. You can have it the lower height, you can have it the higher height, but have it so that your forehead can rest on the block. Because this can be kind of nice sometimes. If you hold a lot of tension in your forehead, if you place that block under your forehead and you just kind of gently, very small movement, roll your head side to side, it's just a little forehead massage, and sometimes it feels quite nice. So just a little something that maybe one of you or two of you might find a nice way to release. You can even like let it massage your eyebrows. We do hold a lot of tension there, some of us. So just kind of explore if this little rolling technique feels nice for you. And then you can just let the weight rest in the middle of your forehead and take a breath. And then we'll lift our heads up and set the block off to the side. Let's reach our arms way out in front and make our way to downward facing dog. So really planting the hands down. You might shift your weight a little bit. You can have soft knees or bent knees or deeply bent knees, whatever you like. We'll take the hips up and back and then feel the weight of the head kind of dangling off the spine. I like to shake the head around a little bit to just free up the base of the skull. And then as we're here, let's pedal the heels down, bending a knee and pressing a heel down. Bending another knee and pressing a heel down. We're just kind of loosening up. So if there's some movement that would allow you to feel like you're loosening yourself up, go ahead and offer yourself that. And then let's bend both knees a bit. See if we can take the hip creases further up and back. As we do that, sometimes the shoulder blades drop in really close to each other. Create a little space between your shoulder blades here. And then let's take a deep breath in. And a nice big sigh. Do that again, full breath in. Nice big release of breath here. And then we're going to walk our hands back towards our feet, lowering the heels down, ending up folded over, ragdoll here. See your feet now and really plant them, root them down. Let's take a big breath into the upper back. We'll let the breath go. And then with soft knees, let's begin to roll ourselves up. Roll yourself up. Stack those vertebrae. Take your time. Feel your spine unfurling. As you start to come up to stand, really root down through your feet. As your head eventually lifts up, let's take the arms and reach them out. And inhale them up and overhead, stretching up, maybe lifting the heart a bit here. Breathe. And then we'll exhale and release the arms down. Okay. Hopefully you guys can find a little bit of wall to stand against. What I want us to do is put our back against a wall or a door, just something wide enough that you can take your body back to. So I recognize you might need to grab your device and move it, but can you stand with your back against a wall or a door? So when we get up close to this, we're going to, you don't want to have your feet on the wall because there's the space of your bum that is there, but get your feet pretty close to the wall, like pretty darn close, but you don't have to have them right up against the wall. So that you have your sacrum, you know, it's kind of like when we were lying on the floor, the sacrum is on the floor, and then get your shoulders back against the wall, and then can we get our heads back up against the wall? Now, a lot of us, to get our head back up against the wall, what we're going to do is we're going to lift our chin up to get our head against the wall. Could we tuck the chin and kind of push the chin in and up to create length in the back of the neck to, as best we can, get our head against the wall? The other thing we're going to do, a lot of us are going to lift the chin, and some of us are going to arch the back to get our head up against the wall. So I want you to think about that knitting in of the ribs that we did when we were lying down. Can you kind of keep your ribs knit together a bit so that we're not arching the back to get the head against the wall? We're not lifting the chin, but we're trying to tuck the chin and lengthen the back of the neck. So our head may not touch the wall, but we're moving in that direction. And as you're here, again, check if you've arched your back. Maybe think about sliding your tailbone down toward the floor as the ribs kind of knit into the belly. So we try to have neutral posture in the torso and still have the shoulders back and as much as we can, the head back up against the wall. And then let's take the arms out and then try and bend the elbows. So some of us are going to have a hard time getting the hands and the elbows against the wall. So just best you can here. You've got that cactus shape with your arms. And then we're going to try and slide the arms up and overhead best we can, letting the elbows or the hands touch the wall. Again, it's not going to be possible for all of us, but best we can. Taking the arms overhead and then taking the arms back out. So can we keep that neutral position in the spine, a little knitting of the ribs, a little sliding down of the tailbone as we try that again. Inhaling and taking the arms up. And exhaling and taking the arms out. Great, we'll take the arms straight out. And then we're going to let them lower down. Now I want you to place your palms against the wall. So they're just outside of your hips. You're going to press your palms into the wall. And I want you to press firmly, like your hands are pressing into the wall. So what wants to happen as your hands press into the wall is that your body wants to come away from the wall. So then start to let that happen. Let your hips come away from the wall. Start to let your hips come forward. Start to lift your heart up. So now we're kind of extending the spine. And as we're doing that, we're pressing our hands into the wall. So what's happening is we're getting a nice stretch across the front of the chest, and we're working the triceps here. So we're pressing the hands into the wall as the hips come a little forward, as the heart extends, kind of like cobra, as if we're on the floor and we're pressing up into cobra. But we're pressing the hands down. Let's take a breath. And then you can ease off of that. You can let your back go against the wall. You can shake your arms out. Okie doke. You can come away from the wall. And I'd like you to pick up your 2 blocks. Okay, or if you have, if you don't have blocks, you can have like some heavy books or some wide, thick books, what we want. All right, so we're going to balance the blocks on the palms of our hands. We're not holding the edges. We're going to try and just kind of balance them like we're serving a platter. So start with your elbows close into your waist. And can we take those platters out wide, straight out to the side, and then bring them back forward? So we're taking them out, we're externally rotating, and then we're coming back in. So a lot of shoulder work here. So I know people whose shoulders are really wonky, and a lot of movements are challenging for those individuals who've had history of shoulder injury. So maybe you don't go as far if you do this. Maybe, you change it up so that it works for you. But if we can externally rotate the shoulders, we can start to strengthen the muscles in the back of the shoulders, which tend to be weak and overstretched. Okay, we're going to do that one more time. And then I want you to serve these platters up forward, and then keep it close to your body and take your elbows back. So we're serving them up, and then we're taking the elbows back. Now with the elbows back, can you take your arms out wide and then take this behind and serve it up behind? And then bring it back, take your elbows wide, spin it around, and serve it up forward. The tendency is to try to grip the blocks so that you don't lose it. See if you can do it and just balance the block on your hands rather than grip the blocks. Take it behind, bring it forward. So we're just moving our shoulders in all kinds of interesting ways here. Maybe one more time. If this is working for you and your body and your shoulders, we're going to take it behind, serve it up behind, and then bring it back and serve it up in front. Great. Take it out, and we're just going to press up. Press up with those blocks balanced on your hands. So you got to really flex your wrists for this one. So root down and stretch up and breathe, and then come back down. Do that again. We're going to inhale and press up, and exhale and bend. One more time. Inhale and press up, and exhale and bend. And we're just going to bring it around. Great. Okay, we're going to make our way to the front of our mats, and we have our two blocks. Let's just bend over and place them right underneath our shoulders. Okay, and the blocks, I have them highest position. You could take them lower if you want, but they're just kind of bringing the floor closer to us. So we're folded over, and your knees could be deeply bent, slightly bent. Your knees can be straight if that works for your low back too. So I want us to bend the elbows and just drop into a fold, letting the head be heavy, and we'll take a deep breath into the upper back. And then as we exhale, kind of knit your ribs as you extend your heart forward. So do that again. Inhale and round. And then knit the ribs. Exhale. Extend your heart forward. Great. Okay, set the blocks off to the side. We'll bring our hands to the floor. We're going to step back to downward facing dog. Pressing down with the hands to take the hips way up and back. Let's take a breath in. We'll exhale to straight arm plank, lowering those hips down. We'll take a breath here. We'll exhale, a little bend in the elbows. Take another breath here. And then let's let our knees come down, and we're going to bring our chest all the way down into the floor. Coming into prone mountain, we might slide the heels of the hands back a little bit. Nice and long. Let's inhale up to baby cobra and exhale back down. We're going to come up again to baby cobra, lifting the hands, hugging the elbows in, and then releasing the hands, releasing the chest. This time with hands on the floor, we'll inhale up to baby cobra. We can stay here, or we might come up a little further into cobra, and then we'll lower down. Great. Let's push up to knees, curl the toes under and lift the knees, and then lift up and back to down dog. We'll breathe in and out here. And then looking a little forward, begin to walk your feet up towards your hands. Plant your feet beneath you. Let's grab the blocks again. We'll take a breath into the upper back. And then as we exhale, we'll knit the ribs and extend the heart forward. We'll inhale and round forward in. And then leave the blocks there and just, as you exhale, roll up. Inhale and reach your arms out and up and overhead. And exhale, arms down. Great, okay. We're gonna inhale, arms up. And we're gonna exhale and fold forward again. Hands coming to the blocks. And let's take a big step back with the right foot. Big step back with the right foot. Have your feet hip distance apart. You might bring the blocks a little closer so they're right under your shoulders. Can we have the back heel lifted as we place weight into the front foot and bend the front knee? And then press into the front foot to rise up. Bring your hands to hips. Can we square our hips towards the short line of the mat here? And then we'll bend the front knee and straighten it. Bend the front knee and straighten it. Again, bend the front knee and straighten it. This time, let's bend the front knee and keep it bent. We'll drop our arms down, and then let's reach them out and lift them up. As the arms lift, the ribs lift, the shoulders lift, we'll breathe in as we reach up. And then we're going to exhale our hands all the way down onto the blocks. Now, I want you to take that back foot and plant your heel down. So that foot is planted and the foot is angled up towards the front line of the mat. And then, again, I want us to rise up. And then we're going to straighten this front leg. So as one foot is behind, that's going to take that hip back. The foot's back, the hip wants to go back. So when the back foot is on the floor, it is not ideal to ask your hips to square to the front of the mat. The ideal alignment is that the angle of the foot and the knee and the hip are the same. So if the back foot and the back knee are kind of angled towards the corner, and we ask the hips to square to the front of the mat, that could cause a challenge on the hip muscles, the deep inner hip muscles. So when you put that back foot on the floor, what might be optimal here is to think about rotating the hip in, but at the same time rotating the thigh out. Can you think about that? Rotate the hip a little bit inward or towards the front of your mat, but rotate the thigh outward in the angle of the back foot. Yeah, so that's going to create a little more ease in your inner hip muscle area. And then with that inner rotation of the hip bone and the outer rotation of the thigh, try a little bend in the front knee. So this is the more classic warrior one position. And from here, we're going to sweep our arms out and up. So if you're in a yoga class and they ask you to do warrior one and square your hips forward, kind of keep this in mind. Don't really square them forward. That's not ideal for your hip. Take a breath here. And then exhale and lean forward and bring your hands down onto the blocks. Okay, so we have that back foot down. Can we straighten the front leg a bit? And then maybe bend the front knee. Straighten the front leg a bit and bend the front knee. One more time. Straighten the front leg. We're going to try and keep that front leg as straight as we can. Then your right hand, get that block right underneath your shoulder. Take your left arm out to the side, and then we're going to open that arm up toward the ceiling. So we're doing kind of a revolve triangle here. Can you take that left hip and pull it back a bit here as you press down and lift up? And we'll breathe in and out. And then exhale the hand back down. So a couple of options. You could take a bent knee here and just hang out here. You could straighten the leg and kind of hang out in pyramid pose. You could lift the arm up like we just did. Or if you want a deeper challenge, you could bring the weight onto the front foot and lift the back leg. And then same thing, take the left arm out to the side and try and lift it up into a revolved half moon. So we'll breathe in and out here, press out through your heel. And then we're going to come back down. You can bring that back foot to the floor. Okay, let's step the back foot in. And we're going to end up folded over as we have before. Feet right beneath us. Just let your elbows bend. Breathe into your upper back. Exhale, extend your heart forward. And then inhale and round. We're going to do that whole thing on the other side. So we're going to take a big step back with the left foot now. You might bring your blocks in a little closer. And initially, can we have that heel off the floor? Heel going straight back. We'll bend into the front knee, press into the front foot, and rise up. And here we can square our hips to the front of the mat because that back heel is up. So the toes and the knees and the hip can all face forward, right? They're all aligned. And then we can bend the front knee and straighten it. And bend the front knee and straighten it. And bend the front knee and straighten it. Next time we'll bend the knee and keep it bent. And then we'll lower the arms down. Let's straighten up as we reach the arms out. Lift them up. Big breath in as we stretch up and reach. And then we'll exhale our arms down. We'll lean forward, bringing our hands onto the blocks. Okay, so now we're going to plant that back foot again. So it's angled, the heel is down. And then we're going to, you can bring the blocks in a little closer, we're going to rise up and straighten that front leg. So again, this foot is back, so this hip is further back. Squaring the hips now is going to mean that the foot and the knee are angled out, and then we expect the hip to be angled forward. That's going to be challenging. So rather than squaring the hips forward, we'll think about bringing this hip forward, but at the same time, we're going to think about rotating the thigh out. So it might be a nice opening in that hip space here. And as we do that, we could bend the front knee and straighten it. And bend the front knee and straighten it. So hip is rolling in, thigh is rolling out, but this hip isn't square to the front of the mat. And then as the knee is bent, we can again reach the arms up. Warrior one. Taking a breath. Great. And then we're going to lean forward and bring our hands down. So now the hand on the block, the same as the back leg. The other arm is going to reach out to the side. And then as we press down on the block, we'll rotate and lift up. Oh yeah, come back down. Let's try this with a straightened front leg. So straighten your front leg as much as you can. You may not get all the way straight. That's okay. And then let's do this. Arm out to the side and reaching up. So it's the arm of the leg that's in front that's reaching up. We're going to take a breath here and then come back down. You might do that again. You might do it with a bent knee, or you might, if you want to challenge your balance, bring the weight onto the front foot and then lift that back leg up, pressing out through the heel, and then press down with the hand on the block, the same as the back leg, and open the other arm up. We'll take a breath here, and then we'll come back down. Great. All right, let's step the back foot in. Breathe into the upper back. Exhale and extend the spine forward. Inhale to round again. We'll step the blocks off to the side. We'll bring our hands to the floor. Step back to downward facing dog. We'll breathe in and out here. Exhale to straight arm plank. We'll take a breath here. Exhale, little bend in the elbows. We'll take another breath here. And we'll exhale all the way down to belly, or mountain. Nice and long here as we let the chest sink down. Then we'll inhale up to baby cobra or cobra. And exhale back down. And we'll make our way up and back to down dog. Okay. We'll breathe in and out here. Let's walk our hands back towards our feet this time, lowering our heels down. We're going to bend our knees and lower our hips and sweep our arms forward. So we're sitting back in a low chair here. Could we lift our heels up and then lower our heels down? Let's try that again. Lift our heels up and then lower our heels down. Could we bring our arms up alongside our ears and do that same thing? And lower our heels down. And then let's push down to rise up and reach up. And breathe. And then exhale our arms down. Great. Okay. I'm throwing all kinds of weird stuff at you today. So we're going to use a block again. I want you to place the block on one side of your mat, kind of a long way. And we're going to put a foot on that block. So it's also pointing towards the short end of our mat. And then we're going to take a big step back with the other foot. So we're coming into a warrior distance, a warrior stride. So normally we have one foot turned out when we have the back foot turned in. So it's just like our normal warrior position, but we have one foot lifted. So we're going to bend the front knee and straighten it. Actually, let me change my mind. I want you to leave the block there, but I want you to do it once with your foot on the floor. So kind of come into your warrior stance like you normally do and bend and straighten your front knee. So this is how it normally feels. We do this almost every time, right? Bend and straighten the knee in warrior. Okay, so now put that front foot on the block and then try bending the knee. Do you see how it feels different? For some of us, it might feel like a nicer, different stretch. You might find it enjoyable. You might find it weird. You don't like it. But it's going to focus your awareness because it's a different experience. So then straighten that leg. Bend the knee and straighten the leg. So one thing this also does is it might put a little more weight into your back foot, which is going to change this experience as well. So let's bend the knee and keep it bent. And then we'll just bring our hands to heart, turn the chest more so it lines up with the long line of our mat, and then reach the arms out. Let's broaden from the center of the chest, lengthen up through the crown of the head, and take a breath. We'll exhale the back hand on the back leg, turn the front palm up, and just stretch that arm up as the back hand slides down a bit. Take a breath. And then come back to proud warrior, nice and open. Take a breath here. As you exhale, tip over, bring that front arm on the front leg. We'll take the back arm out in front, and then let's open up. Just breathe and feel here. It's kind of a very different kind of sensation. And take one more breath. And then push down to rise up. Okay, you might want to step your back foot in a bit. Take that foot off the block. We're going to bring the block around to the other side of the mat. So it's the long way. And then we'll do our warrior two with our feet on the floor initially. So back foot is turned in, front foot is turned out. Just kind of find the way this normally feels, bending and straightening the front knee. And then you might need to step your back foot in to get into this. Put that front foot on the block and then step back. Okay, so you've got your warrior distance. You have your back foot turned in. So again, that foot, knee, and ankle are aligned. And then bend the front knee. It's different, isn't it? To come here with the front foot elevated. Notice how that feels. And then straight. And just do that a few times. Maybe you feel more weight in the back leg. So maybe you feel a little more action in the back hip. Maybe you feel a bigger stretch along the inner thigh or in the front of the hip. What are you feeling? What are you noticing? Yeah, the next time the knee is bent, pause here. Bring your hands to heart. We're going to turn the chest, the long line of the mat, and reach the arms out. Nice and broad, nice and tall. Take a breath in. Exhale the back hand on the back leg. Turn the front palm up. Inhale that arm up toward the ceiling. Exhale that arm forward. Let's tip over. Forearm on the thigh. Other arm coming forward and opening up. Let's take a breath here. And let it go. And then we'll press down to come up. We'll step that back foot in a little bit so that we can step off of the block. Great. Okay, stick with me. We're coming down onto the floor, and we're going to do one more little exploration of kind of changing things up. So we're going to be using a block, but initially just have it nearby. You're going to lie back and set up for bridge pose. So nothing under the head, feet hip distance apart, heels in fairly close, and we're just going to press up into a bridge. Pressing the feet down to take the hips up, knees and shins go forward, weight comes up towards the shoulders. We'll take a breath at the top, and then we'll lower ourselves down on the exhale. Great, there's our normal bridge. Now, can you take that block and place it under one of your feet? So your feet are the same distance away from your body, but one of your feet is on a block, right? So it's going to be different. And then we're going to press up into a bridge. So you probably are going to notice that you're doing a lot more work with the foot on the block. It kind of activates the hamstring and glute a little bit more. Could you take a breath at the top and then roll down? Let's just try that again. Roll up into your bridge. Try to have your head looking up towards the ceiling rather than looking at me. You have your foot on the block. Can you take the other foot up off the floor and lift that leg up? So really press the foot down into the block to hold you up here. Take a breath. And then the leg that's up in the air, bend the knee, release that foot back down, and roll out of your bridge. All right. Take the foot off the block and slide it over so that it can go under the other foot, and place the other foot on the block. So your feet are both the same distance away from your body, but one foot is on the block. Your feet are hip distance apart. And without turning your head to the side, just look up at the ceiling, press down to lift up into your bridge. And maybe you feel that leg that's elevated is working a little bit more. Take a breath and then lower yourself down. We'll try that again. Press down to lift up into your hip bridge here. And then the foot that's on the floor, can you lift that leg up toward the ceiling? Really press the foot down into the block to hold the hips up here and take a breath. And then we'll release that foot that's in the air to the floor, and then we'll roll down out of our bridge. Nice work. All right, slide that block away so both feet are on the floor, and we're just going to hug our knees in. Hug your knees in close, and then take your knees out wide. And I want you to either grab onto your ankles or take two fingers and grab onto your big toes, or take your hands and grab onto the outsides of your feet. And with your knees out wide, start to bring your heels up over your knees. So you're in a happy baby pose. Can you lengthen your tailbone away from your head? So you're sliding your tailbone away, keeping the spine nice and long as your hands are providing some weight to bring your heels out over your knees. And as we're here, we can sway a little bit side to side if that feels good, or we can just think about lengthening the tailbone away, letting those knees drop wide. Breathe in and out here. And then just start to let the heels come back in towards each other. You can let go of whatever you're holding on to and release your feet to the floor. Great. Okay. Let's finish up with a nice lying side twist. So we're going to bring our knees in. We're going to take our arms out to our side. And let's let the knees drop over towards the device. So one knee is on the floor, the other knee stacks on top. And then we're just going to reach back with the arm behind us, rolling the chest up toward the ceiling. We might look back at the arm that's behind us. And we'll take a deep breath in and out. On your next deep round of breath, see if on your exhale there's something you'd like to let go of, and just blow it out or release it out with your exhale. Do that one more time. Invite a deep breath in. And then let that thing that's been bothering you empty out with your exhale. Then bring one knee up, bring the other knee up. Keep your knees close to your body as you let them drop all the way to the other side, bottom leg on the floor, other leg resting on top, stacking those knees, and then the arm behind. Maybe it's lying on the floor, maybe it's reaching back. You can be looking up or looking back at that arm, and take some deep breaths here. Maybe you can breathe in something positive, acceptance, contentment. Breathe out whatever is heavy or burdensome. Let it go. One more round of breath here. And then go ahead and lift your top knee up, lift your bottom knee up, and release your feet to the floor. If you want to do one more movement, you can do so. We're going to start to transition to our final relaxation. So here's our opportunity to set ourselves up to be warm and comfortable. It's cool where you are. You want to be sure to make yourself warm with a blanket or some layers. You want to be sure that when you're lying back with your legs extended, if there's any discomfort in your low back, that's your body telling you that it would like you to put a pillow under your head or a little support under your knees in order to allow your back to relax. Some of us aren't comfortable just lying without support. So at this point, we want to be comfortable. Because when we're comfortable, we'll be able to let the body relax, and that's where we want to go now. This is this important part of the practice, where we practice experiencing what it feels like to be in a relaxed body. Surprisingly, we spend a lot of our day with an enormous amount of tension in the body. And that tightness can become such a reinforced habit. It can be difficult to break. And so this is our chance to break those habits of holding tension in the body. To let the body be free and to rest into a very natural, relaxed state. So the patterns of clenching and gripping in the feet, the ankles, calves, just let those go. Relax the lower leg, the foot. Let your knees relax. Let your thighs relax. Let your seat relax. A lot of us hold ourselves up by gripping in the butt or in the hips. Let those areas relax. Let your gut relax. Let your shoulders relax. Let your arms be heavy. Let your palms relax. As your head rests back, let your neck relax. Let your jaw relax. Let your cheeks relax. Let your temples relax. Let your eyes relax. Let your forehead relax. Let your mind come along. Let it rest. Let yourself be as you are. As we're lying back relaxed, I invite you to imagine that you're letting the right side of your lips curl up into a gentle smile. You don't have to actually do that, but just imagine the energy of the right side of your lips smiling up into your right ear. Imagine just the energy of the left side of your lips smiling up into your left ear. So you're feeling the energy of a smile smiling up, and let that smile move into your head. So it's that positive energy of a smile, that feeling of contentment. Let that feeling spread into your whole head, smiling into your mind, into your brain, sending positive, smiling energy into your creative centers. Just feeling that positive, smiling energy infusing your whole head, your whole mind, your whole brain. And we can imagine that we're going to take that positive, smiling energy now, and imagine that you're going to swallow and draw that positive energy now down into your belly. So you start to feel that positive, smiling energy now kind of centered in the middle of your trunk. And can you imagine that positive, smiling energy beginning to radiate out, moving up into the area of your heart and moving down into the area of your low belly? That energy of positiveness expanding all the way out into your limbs. So you're just feeling that positive contentedness in your whole body. Take a few breaths here, resting in contentment. And maybe you'd like to stay here longer. Maybe you're ready to come out. You might bring your feet to the floor if you're ready to come out. You might roll to your side. Take a few moments there to transition. And when you feel ready, you might make your way up to sitting, and we'll close things out just with a few moments for some quiet reflection. Thanks for being here this morning. Peace.